Yeah.
If I'm right.
Yeah. No, that's exactly that. And again, this is why I don't personally get too hung up on the terms or purpose or passion or anything like this. I think I just make sure it's explained in a way, that people can understand. And Ikigai is a Japanese kind of formula or process by the sense of understanding. And they almost have like a Venn diagram of sorts, but understanding what people love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and your strengths. And that's almost understanding what your Ikigai is. Now, I do a process similar to this, not exactly the same as Ikigai, but I actually do something along the lines of visualization and tapping into people's senses to understand what they want to do from a career realm. But again, making this podcast as tangible as possible and giving people tips. If they were to kind of not be sure what they want to pursue professionally, so by career-wise, if they were to write just 4 little headlines or 4 little titles of what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what your strengths are, and they were to write down examples for each one, what they might find is if they can see 1 or 2 that starts to appear in all 4 of those lists, that could be something that could be potentially your Ikigai. And equally, if you start doing that list, that's just one activity. If you start doing things what we call visualizations, so you can kind of get some really kind of good music or kind of backing songs or whatever it is that important to you to play in the background, but you can start to feel and visualize yourself, walking in a field, walking towards one of these, what you love, doing these things, visualize yourself doing your strengths, visualize doing your things that you could be paid for, and seeing how you feel. And for me, I have a bit of a tap between visualizing those states, saying, what do you smell? What do you see? What do you hear? Really kind of leaning on those senses. And then also leaning on the kind of questions that Ikigai poses. And this is something anybody can do right now. And that will at least kind of make the mind go. It's not going to tell you, right, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a policeman, or it's not going to give you the exact career. But what it will do is it will give you a direction and it will give you something to try. And coming back to what we said before, it's all about taking small, tangible actions. So if you don't know where to start, again, that's a really good activity and exercise for people to do right now. And hopefully that starts to get the mind whirring of what can they volunteer in, what can they do work experience in, what could they even just message a friend that's in that field doing, just to start them on their path.
Okay, that's nice. And in your explanation, you mentioned something about our senses. And how does that come into play?
How does our
purpose?
How does our senses come into
play?
Yeah. So the reason why, so if you're visualizing, so to describe what I'm sure most people know, but if you sort of visualize, so you might sit in a kind of comfortable position. Often it's you can do guided visualizations. Again, this might be something that's really easy for people to pick up just to get the mind going in terms of what are some things they can start doing. You will close your eyes and you often be guided by someone else, in terms of words and questions they will ask you, and allow you to kind of tap into your bit of your kind of subconscious, your unconscious kind of mind, really. So often we're very kind of thinking on our feet. We're very logical. Depending on the situation you're in, you might be very much in a panic state. There's lots of things going on. This is a way to kind of step a level above that, almost to step a level above all the logical, practical decisions, and understand what you truly kind of, what you aspire and what you want to do. So there's nothing kind of woo-woo about this. It's just really kind of getting you away from that panic state and allowing you to think a bit more kind of high level and a bit more strategically. And the senses are simply what the senses are, your taste, your smell, your touch, your sight, etc. And by asking someone, so by guiding someone when their eyes are closed, putting themselves to the future. So in 6 months' time, you might have primed them by asking certain questions about what they love, whether it's country or how their community settings they like. I will put someone 6 months' time in that setting, that comfortable setting, and then I will start asking questions around their senses. What do they see? What do they hear? Say you've just bumped into a friend on a walk. What are you speaking about? What makes you smile? What can you taste? And all of these things will tap into your subconscious and allow you just to find small little snippets of things you want to explore. And again, the key here for me as a career coach is not to kind of make you do these activities and then say, right, you're going to be a veterinary surgeon or, you know, something kind of wild and wonderful. My goal is to try and move you, nudge you to what you know already, to what your subconscious is saying. And then once we understand that, we unpick it further and further. And I challenge you more and more to take those actions and to see how you react. And from there, that's when we start to have a bit of a path and a direction in terms of spending our career. So for me, that's exactly